इतना सा फर्क है एक बार सोच के छोड़ देने में और लग के कर दिखाने में। मान लेने में कि जिंदगी ऐसे ही कटेगी और सुबह 4 बजे उठ के सोचने में ये अभी तो बस शुरुआत है। किसी मैगजीन को हाथ में लेने में और उसी मैगजीन के कवर पेज पे होने में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वीआईपी सीट में और उसकी पिछली सीट में इतना सा ही तो फर्क है। वो जिसका मैदान ही खुला आसमान है वही कल जमीन पर तो था। पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी। ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा है। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा है। ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा है। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया, 20 years of ideas.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to Business X Franchise India webinar Sunday morning. This is a special webinar which we call Exit Planning. This is a webinar which we bring in people who are looking to sell their business or looking to exit their business. Starting with giving you background about Franchise India. Franchise India is a company which was started in 1999, now over 24 years. The company has been servicing investors who are looking to start a business. We were the first platform for start your own business, and we continue to be focused on that side. So we really are focused on helping people when they are looking to start a business. Business X is a separate company of Franchise India, which was started about 9 years back. And this company was started with the idea to help people exit their business and also for investors who are looking to buy a running business. And today's discussion is all going to be exiting the business. Exit itself, word, if you really see, started coming into space more when you had the startup era started. Lot of startup era, everybody was really proudly saying that, look, I was able to find my exit and so on and so forth. In the conventional businesses, this was actually a little bit of a not so good sign of exiting your business. People wanted to stay with their business as much they can. But there is a time where you have to really talk about it, because sometimes we feel that the business is in our control, but sometimes we start feeling that the business is not in our control. If not financially doing, we're not enjoying, or something is happening to your business where you feel that you have to maybe take a decision to exit the business. I feel that this has to be a decision which would come to everybody's life, every entrepreneur's life. There is a time where he has to surrender that business to somebody else. And this can be done to your own family, which means that you pass it on to your son or a daughter, or to any relationship, or it would be to somebody outside your family. But there would be a time where every business owner would have to exit the business. Now, particularly with the circumstances we all had in the last 2 years, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, I know, at a stage where they want to consolidate their position, they want to really not continue with the businesses which they're running, or businesses are no more the same what it used to be. So decision becomes even more important, and if it is done timely, then it can seek the right kind of valuation. Otherwise, sometimes if you don't do things timely, you actually erode the value of the business model itself. So why people actually want to exit the business? That's a very important question, and I don't know how many of you are having the similar issues, but since the last 9 years, we've been actively talking to especially small and medium-sized businesses and really explore why they want to exit the business. And I've found many reasons for entrepreneurs to find the exit. One of the reasons, which is very obvious, is that you're not doing well. I feel that that's something which entrepreneurs find it most difficult to accept, because they don't want to agree that they are not doing well. And if you feel that you're not doing well, you are undercapitalized, you are burdened by a lot of debt or any kind of other loans, or you have some kind of mismatch of your cash flows where you're not able to sustain your business. A lot of businesses struggle because they don't have the right kind of cash flows to support their marketing, support their manpower, get the right talent. A lot of things start multiplying in their business because the business is not doing well. And there can be reasons which can be sometime in your control and sometime not in your control. That also happens. Sometimes you have a business which you're not able to overlook, right? So that's not doing well. Sometimes you think that the business can do well, but you need to compete with your competition. You need more money and you need more resources which you don't have, or you don't have the talent which is required to run that business. But you have to first mentally come with the terms that you have tried everything, but you're not able to fix that, and the business continue to struggle, and you're not enjoying that business. You have to take a decision to exit that business. That's one of the large piece. When I talk to, say, 10 odd people who come to me for selling the business, I think 6 would belong in this space, that they are somehow not able to grow the business and the business is not doing that well. And you have to accept that fact. Sometimes they come with the very wrong notions, which means that if I do this, if I market more, I do that, and I think the business can turn around. And truth is that every entrepreneur tries whatever in the capacity to do that, but is not able to do that, then maybe there's something more to it which you're not able to address. That's one. Second can be succession. You have a business which you want to really continue, but you don't have anybody to look after that business, or in a near future you don't see anybody to look after that business, which means that your children have not the same interest what your business is, or you have something else to do that. Relocation is becoming a very big situation now. We get a lot of people come to us and say, look, I've got my PR to Canada, I've got a PR to Australia. Recently I've got somebody, the entire family is shifting to Australia, and they want to exit their business. And it's a very complex business. It's the multiple investments they have, and multiple companies they have. So even if you start now, it will take about 6 to 9 months, where logically we can consolidate this business and transfer to somebody else. So it's a long-term process, especially if you have a large business and a relatively spread business and so on. So that's also a reason. Then there are also a unique space now because of this the whole ecosystem of startups. We've realized that people want to really exit for profit also, and which is the best thing to do. If you're doing well and you're profitable and you feel that there should be an event in your life and you find a profitable exit of that business, and because you want to pursue some other dreams of your life, then that also is a reason why people want to exit. Then many other reasons come in, and there is a family dispute, there is a partner dispute, or the business for other reasons are not doing well. I've just now got a very interesting business which we've taken on board to sell that business, but that really want to sell because they have some other litigation going on in the real estate, and so they want to require that real estate, because that real estate in times to come would be very expensive within family. There is some kind of divide going on, and this one of the family members wants to take over that real estate, and he doesn't have any other asset to sell. He wants to sell the business so that he can put in long-term investment cycle. Right? The business is very, very good, very lucrative. It's a dealership of a big auto company, and they want to exit that business and doing that. So there can be many reasons why you want to really sell that business and want to find an exit. But one thing is very important, to really come to terms with it. That's very, very important, because it's a very emotional sometimes decision, that you want to sell something which you built from scratch, and it's maybe sometimes you have inherited from your parents that business. You have double emotional connect, because you feel that you have inherited and you want to now sell that business which your father built, or your other family members built. So this decision is, to me, the most critical for any entrepreneur to really decide that this is the time that I have to really go out and find a buyer who can take over my business, because that's most important, most difficult one to do, and especially the timing of it. If you don't have the right timing, even the large companies start collapsing. Look at what has happened to Future Group. Future before COVID actually decided that they want to exit. They started discussing with Amazon to exit the business. Amazon even did a term sheet. Didn't go through delays happened and so on and so forth, and then COVID happened. The cash flow started breaking up. The cash flows, Big Bazaar, and all the big powerful brand. Kishore Vyani is so to say founder of Indian modern retail story. The entire modern retail story, which everybody is now doing it, the DMarts, Mukesh Ambani's company, and everybody else is flying on that modern retail story. It was started by this gentleman called Kishore Vyani. I had privilege to work with him many times. But this man was struggling. And then he went to Reliance for selling that business. And he got, again, a term sheet, agreed terms, everything that thing. And then the dispute happened between Amazon and Reliance, and nobody's able to take over the business. And just about a week back, banks have declared it NPA. Now, because it is declared NPA, and if they don't cure in a period, it will go to NCLT. If you go to NCLT, the entire erosion of value would quick on. The same company which was valued by Reliance at 24,000 crore, I see this would go less than 10,000 crore. They have to buy it from NCLT or something like that. So the entire promoter value, which has been built in the business model, would be eroded. So timing becomes very, very important when you are looking to sell the business. So first thing is obviously the timing. To me, timing is very important, and what window you have when you are looking to sell the business, because that's also very important. But sometimes the entrepreneurs have run out of complete gas, which means that they don't have enough cash to support the continuity of the business. We get a lot of things like that. We come by young entrepreneurs who come to Franchise India or Business X and say, look, I'm running this restaurant and I have not paid the rent for the last month because I don't have money and I want to sell the business, which you are telling me that you already defaulted and you have a window, maybe 1 month or 2 months to really go on. Otherwise, you have to shut the business, which means that the value, which was probably 50 lakh for that restaurant, would become zero or have a liquidation value, which means that you can sell the equipment and everything in 2 months. So it's a very short window. And this window, the new buyer quickly captures, and they are not going to give you the right valuation. So always there are 3 choices. If you do it on the right time, you get the right value. If you miss the timing, you get haircut, which means that you get a big discount on your valuation and you don't that thing. And if you miss that deadline also, then you have only one alternative, which is liquidation, which means that you liquidate the assets, and whatever the assets are worth, you can get that. So the first decision, which is very, very important for you to do, is the timing. And second decision is what do you outcome you want. Outcome is complete sell off the business. Now it has 2 choices. One, we sell the company itself, or which means that we transfer the shares and the new buyers subscribe to the new shares, or we take the business out of that company and sell that. Sometimes entrepreneurs, business owners have their personal assets also sitting in the company, and they don't want to give that. You want to retain the property or anything which you have. And sometimes the new buyer doesn't want to take over company because it has liabilities, it has other statutory things, or the history of the company is very long and you don't want to really get into anything surprising comes up and so on and so forth. And this happens, so we actually sold one company, and after 3 years, they were noticed by income tax of something which happened 8-9 years back, which was still going on and was not captured in the due diligence process, and the notices started coming in, and this became a big problem, right? So sometimes new investors don't like to take over the companies because they feel that you don't want to be part of any history of that business and so on and so forth. So they want to really take the business. So how do you really transfer that? That's also some kind of structuring which is required. So one very clear point is that you need to really decide what is the outcome you want. Second thing which you want to really understand is that maybe you don't want to sell the complete business because you are only looking for an investor to come in, and that also happens because your business is okay, but you have a lot of debt. And I'm advising a lot of companies today to take over the debt and convert it into equity. Because debt in India is so dangerous. And I have last 20 years working with thousands of entrepreneurs have realized that hardly any business model I see which can service debt in India, because the cost of capital in India is unrealistic for businesses to survive. Unrealistic. It's a wrong design of a financial structuring. And this is something which I really do that. Every time we talk about housing loans going down and this going down, and we never look at businesses don't get right loans at the right pricing. I see people taking loans for running their businesses from NBFCs, 12, 13, 14, 15% interest rates. How do you really survive in this business model? And everything in India is very value conscious, very tight. The margins are very, very low. Servicing a debt is impossible in this country. It's very difficult. And that's why you see companies like yesterday, there was a company which was Syntex, which went into NCLT. So even companies which are iconic brands and so big market share and something like that, they all are collapsing one by one, one by one. Why? Because it's not that they're poor entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs have their interest, and how media really defines this in the market, that everybody takes money to put in London or some places like that. That's not true. It's not true, because businesses failed because they were not able to service the debt. Even look at what happened to Air India for so many years. Government actually has to really take over the debt themselves and then give the asset to Tatas, because whosoever, and this was a public sector run businesses, and they would have tried everything in the book to really clean the company. But debt was so much that Air India can never service that debt component and continue to multiply and continue to rise and so on and so forth. So if you are in a situation where you have a debt sitting in your books, you need to creatively think that how you completely take out the debt and convert into an equity, or at least limit that debt component. Because I know a lot of business owners work so hard every day to just service their banks. And that something is not good, because you're not going to enjoy that business model. If you feel that your business needs capital, then seek capital from investors. There's so many investors available who don't know how to run and build a business. You've already done that, and you can get a good investor who can come with you. So that's the second option you have. And third is, you are having no debt issue, you have business going okay, but you have a time issue. You're not able to control that business. The business is not giving you efficiency. You need an operational partner, somebody who can operationally participate in your business and also contribute in that. There you can need an operational partner. Maybe you want to bring in somebody who takes that equity. But I always suggest, rather than giving just a sweat equity to somebody who just becomes operator, I don't think that gets more stickiness. Get somebody who also puts some money in the game, some skin in the business. Those kind of people are become better operators for the business model and so on and so forth. So three choices you have: one, complete sellout; second, bring an investor and do a partial exit or a partial sale; and also third is that you get an operational partner. The foundational goal for any business owner who looks at an exit is only two. One, financial freedom. You want a financial freedom from coming from the company. And second goal is limit your liability or reduce your liability. That's the two goals when you are thinking about business sales. You want to do that. You also have a third goal, which means that you need continuity of business, because you build this business. You don't want to stop the business. You want the business to continue to flourish and so on. So if you have decided your timing and you've decided what you want from that, which means that what kind of structure you're looking at, the third stage is how to value your business, which is the most complex part. Because at that stage, you need to really see and seek an expert like BusinessX, where we can really come and understand what value you're building. And value is very difficult to determine in private businesses. Private businesses are very difficult. And if you do the startup kind of valuation, which means that you do DCF, which means that projections, I put it there, and that projection I discount, that works when you're raising capital, but doesn't work when you're selling the business. When you're selling the business, your current financial would play the most important role, and how the history of your last 1-2 years have really determined. And I have a rule which I use, what I call the SAS principle, SAS principle. That principle I built over the time, and it works greatly for small and medium businesses. I call this, S stands for the strategic value. What is the strategic value in that business? And that really is, to me, the goodwill of that business, right? It can be anything. It can be even sometimes the location itself, right? So where the location is, and sometimes it has reverse strategic issue, because like we were doing a company approached us, which is into they create this artificial marble business, and for wall coverings and so on and so forth. So they reached out to us. The raw material really comes from Rajasthan, and they put a plant somewhere in upside of Punjab, and that plant had huge logistic cost coming from, because everything lands at Madura port, and then it's processed in Rajasthan, large factories are Rajasthan and Gujarat, and then it is shipped to that place. That's a raw material. Now it's strategically wrong. Somebody who would have to take over the plant would have to take over that machinery and bring it back to other location. Then only it would make sense to do financially. So it's very important sometimes to determine the right strategic value of the business. So that's first S. A stands for the assets. Assets are also very important. What kind of assets you are having? It is having tangible assets, intangible assets. Intangible would mean that kind of some trademarks, some brand registrations, anything like that which you have, and tangible assets is machinery and so on and so forth. And then third S stands for subscriber base. What is your customer base and how strong your customer base is and how deep that customer base is? What is the repeat value of that thing? So SaaS principle really works. So whenever we sit down with any business, we really understand the strategic value, the asset value, and the subscriber base. So that really defines us to value. And sometimes we have to also look at from the eyes of the investor. What is the investor going to look at this business? What is the replacement cost? If I don't buy you and I just recreate what you've created, what is going to cost me? Like all these comparatives are also very important. But a couple of things which I would like to highlight, which are very important for you to be ready to even present to a new buyer. First is very importantly how easy it is to run your business. That's something which is very, very important. Sometimes the business is so complex. Even small businesses, I've seen small businesses are even more complex because they have no processes, no system, no leadership team. Everything is revolving around this business owner. So whenever a buyer looks at the business, it looks like that, oh, I will not be able to manage the business. This business is too complex. Second is your financial management. How clear the financial management is. Sometimes the small businesses are messed up. They're doing a lot of things in cash and doing this. There's nothing on the books. You cannot read that. So it's very complex for somebody to understand the business. Like sometimes we sell franchise businesses. Very easy to sell them. If you come to me and say I have a Baskin Robbins franchise, I'll easily sell it because we know everything is system. You have a structured supply chain. The business has certain performance. We can do quickly the PL. You can quickly understand what is the profitability of the business. I can discount that profitability, get your goodwill, and take over that business. A little bit complexity happens from agreements, which means that the franchisor should give you right to transfer that business. But sometimes other businesses which are small, it's very, very complex to really define that business. And sometimes entrepreneurs and business owners come to us and say, look, I have a business and I have some cash component here and this and that. I discount all that. I don't take any business like that because I feel that I'll do injustice of taking something and presenting to my buyer, which I am not very clearly able to locate, which means that I only work on balance sheet. So whatever your balance sheet is saying, maybe 5%, 7% here and there, you can still accommodate if there is a genuine thing. But if somebody says 60% of business happens cash and I have no accountability in my books, I don't touch that asset because that's very difficult to convince a new buyer for that business model. So very importantly, how is the ease of taking over the business, which means that the business owner has to be redundant in their own business. The business can run without them. Business can be easily transferred. That's very, very important. A couple of other things which are equally very important. Always talk about the future than the past. Nobody is interested in taking your past. Everybody is interested in taking your future. What is the future looking? Why it is looking bright? How the margin is going to improve? What kind of a space? So all that is a very, very important aspect of that business model. So very clearly always understand that how you are defining the future of the business. Second is what kind of predictability your business model has. New buyers always love predictability. They like predictability, how the business is going to have that continuity, right? So that's very, very important. Third, is there unlock value sitting in a business which you have not utilized, which means that you have production which you can do, you have not run to the capacity. You can also add some new products. Sometimes you have, like with one company I'm advising is in distribution business. While they have limited distribution business, but from that same distribution infrastructure, they can run many other brands. And especially in today's time, like when a lot of D2C brands are being born every day, a lot of brands need distribution. So if you have a very large distribution already there, you can really flow a lot of brands through that distribution. Like there is a company which I'm working with is a Horeca supplier. So they actually aggregated all Horeca, which is hotel catering and restaurant supplies, all the different brands under one umbrella. So that build itself became a very sizable business. So that's very, very important. So you really have to divide this whole process into following parts. One, understand your mindset and come to terms that you want to sell the business. Second, define what you want as an objective from that. Third, set your valuation and hire a good consulting firm which can do the valuation. Business X has the best team for setting up valuation. We have another separate company called Biz Equity where we do full valuation of the business. Fourth, very clearly set your information memorandum, which can clearly define what is your future, how the business can be run, what is your team structure, what kind of financial modeling you have. Everything so well defined that is well presented to do that. And after that, the work really starts with Business X. We have a very large broking structure. Today, we have about 6 million investors in our database, which can invest anything from, say, few lakhs to 150, 200 crore kind of a database. This is the largest franchise India has. No other company in India would have this ecosystem of independent investors who are available to start some business or take over some business and so on and so forth. With this database, we are the strongest team. Whenever we have a good asset, it can be performing, non-performing, it doesn't matter. We can quickly take it to the market. We define very clearly who can be strategic buyer. For example, if you're not doing well, a financial investor is not the right choice, because financial investor would shy away from making that investment unless and until the asset is has some another unlock value, say real estate. So a lot of financial investors buy these kind of assets which are non-performing, only play because there was some other unlock value. Or you say you were building a hotel and you were not able to finish because you run out of cash, you have debt. So some financial investor can also look at these kind of assets which are more stable. But if it was something which was not done well because it needed more input, financial investors don't have that piece to do it. Then you have to look at somebody more strategic, somebody who comes from the industry, somebody who can turn around that business, somebody who has ability to turn around, somebody who has a large buyer group, wants to add more capabilities, more facility. So strategic becomes more interesting. But when you're financially performing, you're already profitable, then easy to take to a financial investor. So we clearly define, and we also create a band of valuation, which means that what is the minimum, what I call the must-have kind of evaluation, and then we also do what I call nice-to-have valuation. So once we have created that band, then we quickly take it to the market and reach out confidentially to all these investors or future investors in the business, really structure, work with them, understand their scope, and then really starts the exercise of they understanding and looking at business closely with few rounds of meetings and few rounds of discussions. Sometimes investors want to have a lot of more data. Sometimes it's easy because the data is very clearly done that. Sometimes they would bring in the independent auditors to really audit the business, which I encourage. In small businesses, it's not so much required because it's very clear. I mean, you have last 3 years of balance sheet and you can reconcile with banking and few things like that. You can able to really quickly understand the real health of the business and so on and so forth. But sometimes you need to have strong auditors. You need to have strong auditors, and there are good auditors available. And once they audit and they were able to do that, then we place an offer. The offer comes from the buyer, and if it matches or it needs further negotiation or structuring, or sometimes we do a lot of creative structuring, right? Like for example, we just about to close one deal where the buyer is committing to buy the business, but he's nervous on his management capability. So what I've done is I've locked the older team into the business model. So what we've done is that we valued the company for 100%, but the new buyer is subscribing 51% with the idea to subscribe 49% at a certain date, at a certain structure. So it creates continuity. And the current owners would become executive role. They would continue to work as executive role for the performance of business. And their valuation of the 49 is linked on how the business is going to grow over the time. So which means because they have made a lot of commitment that the business can grow and business can go into, I think. So, and if that doesn't happen, it would change drastically their future valuation for 49%. So it gives the control to a new buyer, but also locks in the investor for having substantial equity sitting in the business. And at a certain stage, they can trigger that business model. So we can do a lot of creative structuring, which can be win-win for both the seller and the buyer. I'll be honest, I always have to give a little high value to the new buyer because he's buying into something which he doesn't know. So if unless and until they have a little bit of upper side they would not invest into that. But sometimes it is other way around, because your business is so good, there is somebody who feels an acquisition and is now able to offer you a great valuation. And in these times, with the startup era going on, a lot of IPOs coming in, a lot of value creations happening, M&A is a very serious opportunity, very, very serious opportunity. If you have something interesting which is already there is a buyer which is consolidating. Just now, the many companies entering in the market which are buying, especially smaller businesses. This is the greatest time in history of corporate India where small businesses are being valued. If you are, say, offline business and you're running an offline business, but you don't have online, there would be somebody who buy you out and put it online and take it to global distribution and so on and so forth. So we are doing very classic kind of businesses. We're having one business which come to us, which is a mattress business. Classic businesses, but they're online and it can do well. But for scalability, they need capital, right? So we are looking for somebody more strategic to come in and put that money, which can digitally enable them to create much wider distribution and so on and so forth. So a lot of work is going on in the whole M&A space. So if you are at a stage where either you have to find an exit, or you feel still that there is a merit in your growth of your business model, reach out to us. And we will understand and have a discussion with you. I have a colleague, Sumit, on the call. He will reach out to all of you by tomorrow. Understand your business model. If the business model has merit, then he will organize call with me. I always, before we take on any brand or any asset on board, I get on a call. And if I genuinely feel that I can do justice on that business, we'll take you on a call, and then we will subsequently go in the market and start finding the right buyer group. So friend, this was today's webinar. I hope I was able to give you some insights on if you are looking to sell the business, if you are looking to sell the business or even raise capital, or even looking at some kind of a mentor or a coach to come along with you, please reach out to us. I'll also put my direct number in this chat box. This is 9810244330. You can WhatsApp me if you have anything which is very particular, because sometimes there is specific things people want to discuss on their opportunity. Sometimes they don't want to really discuss with everybody. They want to keep it confidential. You can just send me a WhatsApp and we can set up a call, and then we can take it from there. So thank you very much. Thanks for your time today. Really appreciate you taking time on Sunday, and reach out to us if you have any queries or any kind of information you want. Thank you very much.